Welcome to Make It Change. Today I'm going to go over how to track your net worth and how to construct a spreadsheet so that you can do that. I won't be having a video of me today, and so in the comments you can let me know if you prefer seeing me or not seeing me. I won't be offended, and you can go ahead and subscribe and hit the like button. All right, so for today, what I'll do is I'll click into the cells with the formulas so that you can see those. And I'll also just talk about how I've used this over the years. So you can see that there are a lot of columns that are hidden right now between A and AH. I will unhide those and I'll actually fill this out and show how it works. You can see the legend here on the right-hand side. I decided just for me doing this, this was useful. I started out with just red, yellow, and green. Debt is red, liquid savings, which represents basically labor, income from labor is yellow, and green is retirement savings, which is also capital. Over the years, I ended up adding purple and what I'll call gray as I um, gained other capital accounts. So the colors make sense. Debt would be red. And what I'll do is I'll go ahead and unhide these columns and show how long I've been using this spreadsheet. This is the actual spreadsheet that I use, and I've been using it since 2012. Anyone can make any spreadsheet, of course, that you want. I think that mine is set up a little bit differently than maybe other people would set up their net worth spreadsheets. I like to be able to read left to right and understand what's going on. A lot of the other spreadsheets that I see either kind of have no kind of left-right order to them. They're just kind of, I don't know, tables in the middle of the spreadsheet or something, or they are read up to down with maybe the newest entries on top, or who knows how they organize it. I can understand those. It's a spreadsheet. It's not that hard to understand, but I just prefer being able to read naturally left to right. So that's the way I set mine up. I do imagine that at some point I'm going to run out of columns that I can use, but this is also a 9-year spreadsheet at this point. And so, if I had to, start a new tab in order to gain more columns or something, that would be just fine. All right, so the legend is now far off to the right-hand side, but you can see that I didn't do anything very difficult. I just called these item, not very interesting, for this column, but it's just what the things are. And then, this would be debt account 1, debt account 2, debt account 3, and then you're totaling your debt down here. The formula is not, difficult or extremely interesting, but you would just sum the cells that represent your debts. So that would be B2 through B4. And then you would just, drag that over. You would just repeat that formula in all of these total debt cells. So let's go ahead and name, these accounts. These are fake entries. These aren't my actual accounts, but just to show you an example. And at the end, what I'll do is I'll show you how you can use, this is just Google Sheets, so it's completely free. You can just track this on your own. You don't have to buy, a spreadsheet from anybody or anything like that. You can do all of this yourself. And then I'll show you how in my net worth reviews, I show a chart, and I'll show you how to generate that chart. All right, so for debt 1, maybe that's a student loan. And then for debt 2, what could that be? Maybe it's a car loan. And then debt 3, maybe that's a credit card balance that's rolling over month to month. All right, so I'm not going to put in example entries in the cells yet. I'm just going to go through and name the accounts, and then I'll loop back through and put fake values in. Okay, so then for liquid savings here, maybe this is your checking account, a person's checking account. Maybe this is a person's savings account. And let's see. Oh, I was going to have this be a CD row, but that is going to complicate things. So I'm just going to leave that be. I'll leave that as zeros. Then a person may or may not have, depending on kind of where a person is and their trajectory of being able to save, a person may not have liquid capital accounts, at least what I call liquid capital accounts, just regular taxable investment accounts. But let's say a person does, and maybe you have maybe a person has an account at I don't know, E-Trade. E-Trade taxable investment account. Oh, that's a little bit long. I think it'll wrap. Yeah. And then I'll just leave this one blank. All right. So then I do have a line for crypto. People may or may not use it. Just track it. If you have some, track it. That's the most important thing. I don't actually know what the places are called. Oh, I know. One of them is called Binance. So let's just do that. All right, and I'll just leave this one blank, and I'll leave it as zeros. And then for retirement savings, nice bright green. This might be non-Roth 401k. This might be Roth 401k. This might be Roth IRA, or maybe a traditional IRA, whichever fits. And this might be an HSA. Okay. And then you can see at the bottom, this is where everything is going to get totaled in the net worth line. I'll click through and I'll show the formulas for everything. And then, like I talked about in my net worth quarterly review, I calculate the growth by quarter and the growth by year. And I am not, I don't care where growth is coming from. I don't care if it's coming from my contributions. I don't care if it's coming from the growth of the assets themselves. I just care that there is growth. So I don't bother to do any kind of extremely careful calculations to discount my contributions or to discount the amount that the asset has grown. I just figure out what the difference is and count that as the growth. That works for me. All right, so let's begin filling in values and ultimately so that I can produce a chart. So let's see, for a student loan, let's say a person starts with, I don't know what this would be, 50,000. And then I'm just going to do a little formula. Let's say each quarter it gets reduced by maybe it gets reduced by 0.02%, by 2%. Is that a lot? That might be too much, maybe by 1%. Okay, so then I'm just going to copy this over. This is just me generating values so that I can fill this in pretty quickly. All right, let's come to June of 2021. Okay. Oh, that probably ends up being a little bit too slow. But anyway. All right, so then maybe a person's car loan. I have no idea what this would be. I don't own or operate a car. I was able to make that choice, and I don't carry that as a debt or anything that is an expense for me. So and it's been many years. It's been, my goodness, probably 15 years at least. So I don't even know what maintaining cars costs. I don't know. Let's say 6,000. I don't know. All right, so then I actually kind of like that formula. So let's say each quarter you reduce by, oh, well, that's too small, isn't it? Probably gets reduced by 1%. Or no, what is that? That's 10%? Yeah, that's probably 10%. So let's just drag that out here. Okay, okie doke. And then hopefully a person isn't carrying a credit card balance. But, people may. It depends on where a person is in their, personal financial journey. But let's assume the worst and say a person does carry a balance of 2,000. And aside from paying the minimum due, maybe the person is making additional payments. And so, how does that look? Yeah, that looks pretty good. So let's carry that over. See what that ends up being like. Okay. All right. So, these numbers on this far right-hand side are kind of, unrealistic. A person would probably just go ahead and, throw an extra 230 in one of those months and then get that down to zero. But anyway, these are just some fake entries just to show how it's going to look in how it works in the spreadsheet. Again, it's just a simple sum of the debt columns when you look at each total debt um, uh, cell here. Okay, so then for a person's checking account, let's say that the person doesn't have a safety fund, or, well, let's see, for their checking account. Let's say that the person decides to just carry $1,000 of quickly accessible emergency cash in their checking account. And that value is going to remain consistent. Now, it'll wobble a little bit depending on how the months are and everything, but let's say, does that copy over? It does. Let's say that that's consistent. Bring it over here. Okay, there we go. Okay, so then in a person's savings account, that's where they're going to accumulate their safety fund. Maybe a person has let's see, I don't know, maybe a person has a $60,000 a year job. Maybe their living expenses, your safety fund, should kind of be dictated by your living expenses. So maybe their living expenses are 30,000, 35,000. Let's say that they start their savings account with 1,000, and maybe each quarter they are able to, a person is able to, um, 3 months, maybe they're able to put, I don't know, maybe like this. Okay, so maybe they're able to put $150 each month into their savings account. So let's drag that over. Okay, there we go. What do we end up with? Too much? Nope, that's good. All right, and I'm going to leave this one blank. All right, so then maybe a person has a taxable investment account. Depending on where a person is in their journey, it might be too soon for this. Why don't I kind of come over here and maybe in March of 2020 is when a person starts this. And maybe maybe a person starts with 1,000 and maybe they add, this is also going to be investment growth. So let's do something like the person does something like this. So that cell plus that cell times, let's just go full on 7%, and then plus a contribution of not 1,000 for 3 months. but maybe a person is able to do 150 each month, so 450 for the period. Okay, and then let's drag that over. Okay, so again, this complexity of these formulas, they're not very complex, but this is nothing that I do on a normal basis. I'm just doing this so that I can fake up some numbers for the spreadsheet. That's all. Okay, so then let's continue filling out. What I actually do is at, you know, December of 2013, I would just come in and I would actually just probably log into Mint or something like that. And I would just enter in the value of each account that I have. And I just fill the column out and then I see what the net worth is at the bottom. That's all I actually do. Right now, you're watching me kind of make up fake values so that I can show the graph at the end. So then for cryptocurrency, maybe a person does this, and then yeah, I have no idea what the right ways to do this is. So let's go wild and say 10%. And then maybe a person is adding $100 over 3 months. Okay, so there that is. All right, so now in my mind, much more important accounts. All right, so let's say a person, of course, they're going to start with 0, but let's say we're at the end of a person's first quarter of contributions. And actually, what I do have a row in my actual net worth spreadsheet for Roth 401k, and I do have money in my 401k that is Roth 401k money, but my 401k doesn't display that very clearly, and it's very difficult to get to that number. So I never end up recording it in my spreadsheet here. I just count what it shows me as a total number. So I just go ahead and count that in the non-Roth 401k number. It's just my 401k number. And I don't, give myself any real heartburn about it because it's not as though I'm doing any follow-on calculations for the Roth specific dollars for the Roth IRA and the Roth 401k. Um, it will matter ultimately, but for now, just for this relatively simple net worth tracking, I don't consider it worth that effort. Minimal though the effort is, I still don't feel that it's worthwhile to expend it. All right, so the contribution limits for 401k are 18, was it 18,500 or maybe it's 19,000 this year? Maybe a person isn't maxing it out, so maybe they're putting in 10,000 um, in, in that first quarter. Oh, no, that doesn't make any sense because that's the annual amount. So they would have put in 2500. Okay. And then we'll skip Roth 401k to Roth IRA. So 6,000 is the limit for this. So 3, and then there we go, 1,500 for a 3-month period. And then for the HSA, oh, what's the HSA limit? I think it's 3,250. So I'll just do roughly 1,000 for that. Okay. So then what I'm going to do for this is just fake up a little formula here where I do plus this cell times 0.07 and then plus each quarter. I'm going to say the contribution is 2,500. Yes, 2,500 static, not the previous value, not the cell of the not the value of the previous cell. That's right. Oops. All right, well, we're wrong. Oh, it doesn't like the comma, of course. Okay, there we go. So let's drag this over. I wonder if I can, no, if I double tap it, it'll copy it down, I think. Let's drag it over. All right, so there that is, 431,000 in June of 2021. All right, so then for Roth IRA, we'll do a similar formula. Actually, I think it might be, yeah, I'm actually going to do the very same thing. All right, so just do this, and then do this, and do this, and that, and times 0.07, and then plus 1.5, oh, no comma. There we go, 1,500. All right, so then we should see in December that they've contributed roughly 6,000 plus some growth. Very good. So let's drag it over. And here we are. Great. Okay. So then for the HSA, it's 1,000. Oh, that's actually too much. Yeah, that's too much. Let's do this. Let's just do 750 and call it good enough. Okay. So same formula, just kind of bang through this. And then I'll just do plus 750 again to fake up a number. So then what does the number look like? Yeah, that looks fine when we get to December. All right, so here we go. 2021. There it is. Okay, so now all the fake entries are done, and what I'll do is I'll step through and just show the formulas. So the summing formulas are not interesting, not difficult. You're just summing all of the debt entries for the total debt cells. For the total liquid savings, exactly the same kind of thing. You're just summing the liquid savings rows, the cells in the column. Again, nothing very surprising here, a simple sum. And again, nothing surprising here, a simple sum. And here in net worth, the same, just a simple sum. Then coming to net worth, this is where it gets, a little bit more complicated because I do have rows, separating these things and everything. So, selectively I'm going through and I'm adding for this particular cell, C10. So C10 is the liquid savings plus C14, total liquid capital, plus C18, total liquid capital crypto, plus C24, total retirement savings, minus C5, which is debt. And that's how it arrives at this number for the net worth. Then I'm gonna just use these rows over here, this column, to do the net worth growth by quarter calculation. And when the net worth is negative, these become a little bit strange looking. So let's look at this and it'll make a little bit more sense. So here it's O26, which is just the net worth value, O26, minus the previous net worth value, N26, and then divided by N26. So how much did the value in O26, the total, the net worth, increase from basically the last time it was measured? Now, this is not accounting for the amount of the contributions. It's not accounting for the growth of the assets itself. It's just saying, what's the difference between these two numbers? And that's 22%. Then what's under it is the net worth growth by year. So here, this calculation is O26. So the same number, it's just the net worth, O26 minus K26. So this is June of 2015. So you go to June of 2014, that's column K. And so that's K26, the net worth for June of 2014, and then divided by K26, the net worth of June 2014. And the difference between 22,000 and 69,000, the percentage growth is 201%. Now, this is misleading a little bit. I mean, the math is correct, but um, it's not as though a person actually had 200% growth. This, what looks like growth is from the contributions. When you come down here, when the numbers get larger, then things start to make more sense. So this growth from quarter to quarter, 7%, all right, almost 8%. And then this year over year, so let's look at June of 2020, then that's 36%, and that's coming from contributions as well as I just stuck in there a flat 7% growth, um, and so that's compounding quarter over quarter. So that is how I set up my net worth spreadsheet. It is nothing very complicated. And it's not extremely sophisticated because these calculations here at the bottom, these are not complicated. I'm not distinguishing between my contributions and between the actual growth of the assets. And I'm not interested in that. I just decided that's a little bit deeper than I want to get into for stuff I'm doing myself. If I actually want to know that, I look at my actual accounts themselves. I look at my actual investment accounts, and those financial institutions are going to calculate those things for me. For me, just doing my tracking, really what I'm interested in is the net worth number. And then just so that I can kind of gauge, up, down, good, bad at a glance, I calculate these two other rows of information. And so, like I described, what I actually do for the doing of tracking my net worth each quarter is it's just very simple. I would just come in and I would log into my student loan account and I would just enter in the number that it shows for the end of September of 2014. I would go to my car loan account, or maybe I just log into Mint, if I have my accounts aggregated somewhere. And I just enter the numbers in and I just go down the row. And the formulas, handle doing all of the work once I set them up. In 2012, I just copy them out. And all I do on a quarterly basis is I just come in and enter the numbers for these accounts. And then, I see the result, down here in the net worth area. And then basically I'm done. I know where I stand. Now, I'm going to go ahead and do the charting and show you how you do that in um, Google Sheets. So the first thing I do is I highlight this date row up here, going out to 2021. And I go ahead and I go out. I always enter the entire year's worth of columns, and I don't enter more than that. So like I haven't entered 2022. And so when it graphs it, when it makes the chart, there's going to be a little bit of leading space on the right-hand side. And so what I do is it gives me room to kind of project, oh, what if things keep growing the way they are? All right, so then for that one, I highlight way out there. And then for these, I only select the colored rows here. So, and I only select where I actually have entries. So then I just slide backwards, keeping both selected. I'm doing a command click to highlight these. And then we'll get these. And I don't keep the chart on the spreadsheet all the time. I suppose I could do that, but I like to create it, look at it. I actually export it as a PNG, and then I actually undo creating it to just get it out of the way. Because I don't want it up there. I don't want it taking like processing time or space in the spreadsheet or anything like that, because I look at it for a sum total of 5 minutes once a quarter. Otherwise, I just don't really want to see it. Ah, shoot, made a mistake. Starting over. All right, let's copy these. It does take careful clicking. So let's go out to 2021. see if I can do this quickly and correctly. Okay. Okay. Now let's see, scroll up. All right. Just a few more to do. Now scroll upwards. And then the last one. Okay. All right, so now that all of those are highlighted, do not click any of the cells and just come up to insert. Well, this is what I do. Chart. Ah, now let's see. Hunt for where to put the chart. Oh, maybe it's working on it. There it is. Okay. Okay, right. So the first thing I do is I just kind of pull it over here. All right, so obviously this chart does not make sense. So you change it from a column chart to a line chart, and then there we go, line chart, and then combine ranges vertically, and then switch rows and columns. There we go. That is, is that correct? Yes, yes, that's correct. All right, so then get rid of the chart editor and make this bigger. Here we go. And all right, so then you can kind of scroll down. And so you can see this, I don't know, that's green. The net worth line is, less than under the total retirement savings line, which makes sense because there's debt. And the debt is that blue line that is going down, total debt. So this makes sense. Total debt is going down. Retirement savings are going up. And net worth is going up, and it crossed zero at, well, I'm not exactly sure, but at some point in time, the net worth crossed above zero. And then these down here are, oh, that's right. Yeah, the total liquid savings. And then, yeah, the crypto would be down there. Um, so for me, I just like to, look at this and see, what's on track and, seeing it visually rather than as, columns of numbers helps me just kind of understand and double check, that things are going the way that it looked as though they're going from the numbers. And I find this really useful if a person wants to save it for whatever reason. You can download it as a PNG and then, obviously edit it. And what I do is I crop out the chart itself and I leave the numbers out of the crop. That is what I do. All right, so this is how I review my net worth. It's really simple. Once I set the spreadsheet up in 2012, I've just been coming in and entering values per quarter. And, I do a little bit of charting just to keep an eye on how things are going. But other than that, it's not a lot of effort. And yes, absolutely, Mint will do all of this, for you. But I also like to come in and just have my own record, especially because in 2012, I don't think Mint was around or anything like that. Um, and it's just good diligence to, um, check your net worth. Not too often. I mean, you don't want to do it very, very often, but once a quarter, I think is reasonable. So that's what I end up doing. That feels good for me. And so this has been how you do that. I hope that this was useful to you. Maybe it was inspiring, or gave you some ideas that you can use on your own, personal finance, um, progression. All right. Well, thank you. Please like and subscribe, and have a great night.